My name is Rachel Orr. I'm the director for MU Connect, and I'm going to let Sam and Chris introduce themselves as well as part of the team.
Hi, everyone. My name is Sam, and I'm the Student Success Initiatives Coordinator with MU Connect.
And I'm Chris Dobbs. I'm the Senior Program Coordinator, also with MU Connect. What a coincidence.
Wonderful. So we're going to talk about the early alert cycle. We're going to do a little bit of an overview, and then Sam is going to walk through some of the specific steps that are part of the process. So MU Connect is just a comprehensive student success platform that connects students, staff, faculty, and advisors throughout our campus for the purpose of tracking information to collaborate and coordinate support for students across our campus. Specifically, the tool is used for scheduling appointments, like I said, share and tracking student information, providing feedback via the early alert process, which we're going to talk about today. Connect students with student support offices and resources. And then there is a big data analytics component to the tool as well as analyzing the data within MU Connect. So MU Connect actually launched in spring of 2013. 10 years later, we see all undergraduate units, more than 45 services and centers using the tool, as well as many others in student support roles, academic affairs, student affairs, libraries, and so on. The tool is maintained by 3 full-time staff and 2 student staff. And just to give you kind of a sense of the scope of the early alert process we're going to be talking about today, we'll share some numbers in terms of appointments. There were 57,000, a little over 57,000 appointments in the system in the fall of 2022. Just to give you a sense of the traffic that the tool gets, and we'll give you some of the early alert numbers as well. Early alert is really just a systematic way of recording and communicating about student behavior in the classroom. It provides faculty and instructors an opportunity to offer students praise, like a virtual high five if things are going well in the class, or raise concerns if maybe they're not making progress in the course. In addition, by offering that feedback through the system, it also communicates to students and provides connection to resources and staff, as well as connect students with advisors and support staff who are alerted to the concern as well, so they can support the student through conversations they may already be having with the student. In the fall 22, there were 554 academic flags, so concerns raised, and there were 39,000 kudos, that virtual high five, raised in fall 22, both of which are up pretty significantly from fall of 2021. So it's really an early intervention tool and communication with the goal of connecting students with resources and support. We have done a little bit of research on campus that shows that early alert does work. It shows that there is a correlation with student retention, whether to the institution or within the academic unit, depending on the research that was conducted. Chris was a big part of that research that looked at the student retention a year ago, that really highlighted how early alert works on our campus. And there is other literature that supports early alert, but this is really the data that we tend to share because it is really specific to our campus. So Sam is going to give an overview of the early alert cycle and then walk through each individual step.
Perfect. So we have broken down the early alert cycle into 5 different parts. So that first part is that a student exhibits a behavior impacting success in the course. We also want to add that they might be exhibiting a behavior that is aiding in their success in the course, because we do have kudos as an option along with flags in the system. And so based on that behavior, the instructor raises an early alert. So in this context, an early alert is considered a flag, a referral, or a kudo. And so we also wanted to highlight that part 3 is that student receives an email that an alert has been raised. And so for instructors, any early alert, so the flags, referrals, or kudos, each of those sends an email to the student. So for every flag or kudo raised, a student gets a corresponding email. For part 4, outreach occurs based on the alert raised. So we'll kind of go a little bit more in depth later on in the presentation, but this has to do with who does the outreach based on what flag or item was raised. And then we also have part 5 as the alert is cleared and the instructor is notified. So this means that a conversation was had, or maybe the outreach cycle ends and they never heard back from the student. So they will go into the system and actually clear the alert. And then you can add comments as you're clearing those alerts. And like the tier flag, we will also go into those a little bit later. So for part 1, this is the student exhibits a behavior impacting their success in a course. So these are the common behaviors that we see: the attendance concern, a low exam score, missing assignment. All of those listed here are behaviors that we've seen that have impacted a student's success in a course. Then we also have our 3 kudos of keep up the good work, outstanding academic performance, and also showing improvement. And then we also have the option, especially during progress survey time, for instructors to raise referrals. So these includes referrals to our tutoring center and the writing center. For part 2, the next step is for the instructor to raise an early alert based on the behavior that the student is exhibiting, whether negative, positive, any of those options. So an instructor can raise an early alert at any point in the semester. So we have progress surveys at the 4 and 8 week mark, which are actually coming up pretty soon, believe it or not. And so at the same time, instructors can actually raise an early alert at any point in the semester, even outside of those progress survey weeks. There are 3 ways that alerts can be raised, and we'll talk about that in the next screen. And then we just wanted to highlight again that when raising early alerts, that we want to apply the most applicable flag. So if a student is exhibiting maybe attendance concern that's impacting their ability to get a good grade in the class, and maybe they're now in danger of failing because they have missed so many classes, you would want to raise an in danger of failing flag. So choosing the most applicable one when raising an early alert. As we previously mentioned, there are 3 ways to raise an early alert. So you can raise it through the My Students tab. So this allows you to manually raise a flag at any point in the semester, and you can actually use your connection and search by individual courses. So you can look at your students for a particular course in this tab. We also have the Zoom In tab. This is also another manual way to raise flags. But the cool part about this tab is that it actually imports grades from Canvas. So you're able to filter by grades on a specific assignment and kind of narrow down your search for maybe someone will get a low exam score flag. And you can see students below a certain threshold and raise flags directly on those students. And then we have the progress surveys. They launch in the 4th and 8th weeks of the semester. And so they will appear for every course that you are teaching. We also wanted to highlight the types of flags available. So we kind of did an overview of what flags are out there. But in fall 2022, we actually worked with AALC and different units on campus to kind of implement a tier system for these flags for the outreach process. So attendance concern, missing assignment, and participation concerns are all housed under the informational tier. And so these are more just informational. So advisors or anyone the student is meeting with can have this information that might be particularly important for conversations that they're having with the student. And then we have tier 2, which is student at risk. And this is classified as low exam score or poor class performance. And then we also have our more urgent flags. So this is in danger of failing, in danger of being dropped, and student flag 6 times. And so the student flag 6 times is actually a flag that is raised automatically once a student reaches that 6 flag threshold. So this isn't something that instructors can raise, but is raised by the MU Connect system once a student has reached Six Flags in any of their courses. So for part 3, this is that a student receives an email when a flag, kudo, or referral is raised. So as we mentioned earlier, for every flag that is raised, there is a corresponding email that is sent to the student. And this email actually includes the comments that an instructor can add when raising the alert. So as you can see on the right, we have an example of what this would look like. So if you were raising an attendance concern flag for Truman the Tiger, you would select the course context. So what course is Truman having the attendance concern in? And then you can see that there is the ability over here to add a comment. So one does default there, but we recommend including a bit more detailed description of why you're raising the flag with a student. And we say this because the comment is actually included in that email to the student. So the student will see any comments that you put on the flag when you raise it. And we also wanted to highlight here that we have a full list of all of the early alerts and the emails that are sent to the students on our MU Connect website. And we can put that in the chat for you all to explore. But if you just click on that link, it'll take you to the list with everything. We also wanted to show you a sample email. So as you saw in the last slide, we were raising an attendance concern flag for Truman the Tiger. So it'll have the student's name, what type of concern is being raised. So we can see attendance concern in the course that you select. And then the comments that you make when raising the flag are included at the top of the email. And then it also will show that it is coming from you instead of the MU Connect system. So it will show, for example, we had Chris raise this flag. So it'll say that it was sent on behalf of Chris and then his email for any correspondence after that. For part 4, this is all about the outreach process. So as we mentioned earlier, we have broken down the flags into a tier system. And so the tier system also informs who is performing outreach for these flags. So for tier 1, these don't actually have an action that is required, but they inform the ongoing conversations. And also the student does receive an email when these flags are raised. That does include some resources that they can utilize and always encourages them to talk to their TAs and instructors. For tier 2 flags, these are flags that are the low exam score and poor class performance, and our athletics department, TRIO, CASE, and the Learning Center staff reach out to these flags as soon as possible, ideally within a week. And then for our tier 3 urgent flags, this outreach is performed by staff on campus, particularly our academic advisors. And so this ideally occurs within 3 to 4 days. And so here we wanted to show you what an outreach comment looks like. So when an academic advisor, staff member, member of TRIO, CASE, Athletics, Learning Center, whenever they perform outreach, they are encouraged to also include comments when they perform outreach. So they can make comments directly on the flag and it will be housed all under that flag. So as you can see, there was a flag raised on student and then Kathleen put a comment on the flag that they reached out regarding the flag and then also what they sent in that email. So encouraging them to speak with their instructor and then also include information about withdrawal deadlines. And we find that particularly helpful as students may not be aware of some of the deadlines and as needed, if that information might be particularly helpful for the student. And step 5 is that the early alert is resolved. So the staff members and the individuals doing the outreach and even instructors are also encouraged to clear their own flags if they've seen that the issue has been resolved or if they've talked to the student. There is the option to clear the flag. And so there are 5 different reasons that we see that a flag can be cleared. So we have the completed. This means that there was contact that was made with the student and a plan of action was created or the concern was addressed. We have no reply from student under that. And so that means based on the outreach process that these staff members and units utilize, there was one or more attempts made for the student to contact the student, but the student didn't respond. We have administrative that is not typically used by staff members, but it is utilized when student enrollment is no longer active. And then we also have mistake. So maybe the instructor had the wrong person that they were raising it for, or didn't mean to select a particular flag. This would be closed as a mistake. And then finally, the trickiest one is the partially completed. So this means that initial contact was made with the student. So maybe the student said they would schedule an appointment with you, or maybe they did schedule an appointment with you, but no steps came after that to actually meet with you, or maybe they missed the appointment and you never heard back. We would consider this as partially completed. And then at the bottom, you can see you can add a comment. And so we always recommend our staff and encourage our staff members to add a comment about why they are clearing the flag. So if it's no reply from student saying, I made 3 outreach attempts to the student and I haven't heard back, so that is why I'm clearing this flag. And below here, there's actually an option to send a copy of the note to the instructor to notice the student. And so we also encourage those that are clearing the flag to also loop back in the instructor so they are aware of why and what happened with this flag and why it was done. So we also just wanted to highlight some examples of best practices that we've seen across campus when clearing the flag, raising a flag, and all those different types of things. So for here, we wanted to kind of highlight what we've seen for best practices across campus when a flag is raised on a student from an instructor. So as you can see, we have Catherine Peterson and Bethany Stone. And so in their flags, they raised a low exam score, and they included what exam they're raising it for. So both these were exam 1. They also included ways that students can help address that concern. So taking advantage of TAs, visiting office hours, and some more information about how to improve their grade. And then also what we particularly loved is that it also gave an encouraging message of, don't get discouraged. There's still time to make things up. We want you to succeed, and bringing that positive aspect of, we know it's rough, but we can work together to help you be successful. And here we kind of take that a step further. Bethany added the specific grade, which is also a great option. So a student knows exactly what their grade is. Maybe they're in danger of failing, which is the case here of a 61%. And so of different options, again, of student office hours, encouraging them to meet with her, and just those kinds of options to let the student know a lot of information all in one place, which is also particularly helpful. And then at the bottom, one of the things we loved was that this is the raised comment that was raised by an instructor. And here we can see the process, that outreach cycle in real time. So we can see that 2 days later, Jordan Partial performed outreach. And so in the comment, it said advisor outreach, and then what was included in that outreach. So resources, and also encouraging the student to meet with their instructor. And then also the reason for why the flag is cleared was in 5 days later as a no reply from student. And this is another example we have also seen of when we talked about earlier, those dates and plans that students may not be aware of. So if they're in danger of failing, what is the last day to withdraw? And just giving a lot more of that information that students may not know, and how they can take next steps to do whatever is best with them in that scenario.
It looks like Dr. Thorne had a question about the difference between comments and notes in the system. So comments are attached to tracking items. So a flag, a referral, you can put a comment on them to indicate whether it's outreach or, whatever conversation you maybe had with the student about that flag. The notes come in when the flag is cleared. they appear in the same space and they're attached to that flag, but they kind of work in different ways. They're just different purposes. Essentially, they kind of are the same thing. They're still attached to that flag. They just call them different things in each of those boxes. Any other questions?
I have a question regarding the no reply from student flags and kind of what the best practices are for clearing those flags, since I don't want to clear it too early where just in case a student replies a little bit later, I'm not able to go back and adjust as needed. Yeah, so what's the general, I guess, protocol? I don't know what most people do with the timeline there.
I think it varies by different academic unit processes to some extent. Some will clear within a week or two with the no reply. Others, it may be later after they've given the student like a few weeks to respond. And so I think it's whatever works best in your process. As long as, I mean, we like that it gets cleared and there's some note of what happened as it relates to that flag. And I believe, and Chris and Sam, you may have to correct me. I believe even if you clear that flag, you can go back and comment on it still. So if you did hear from the student, you could go back and still add that comment.
Okay, but we wouldn't be able to change it to concern addressed though, right?
Correct. Yep.
Thanks. Also, I really, one of the questions is going to be on the template email. So thank you for sending that out because that's really helpful.
Other questions? I'm going to put, oh, Sam already put our website in the chat, as well as if you do run into issues or you see something in the system you have questions about, you can always reach out to us at muconnectsupport@missouri.edu. One of the three of us, most likely Sam, will respond to be able to resolve that issue as quickly as we can. It's helpful. If you see something that looks strange, don't hesitate to reach out. Sometimes that's how we identify that there may be an issue with the system and we can get it resolved faster. So hopefully this was helpful to see the entire cycle and the different steps in the process and some of the best practices that work across campus. Feel free, if you have more questions, to reach out to us. We can come to different departments or talk individually with folks if you need some more information or want to go through any of the steps in specific in some detail. So Chris or Sam, anything else you'd add?
Thanks for coming, everybody.
And we will be posting these to our website as well. So in case you want to refer back to anything, we will have these up as well.
Thank you. Have a great rest of your day.